Okay, so now it's recording. All I did was change the bit rate. All I did was up the bit rate on the thing just to give a better quality. But whatever, fuck the quality. Um,
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Fuck the quality.
Yeah, fuck the quality. It's not important.
As our subscribers and likers and whatnot already know, fuck the quality.
Yes. Welcome to the show. I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
This is Jake and Drake show, and we were talking about nothing actually. Nothing.
Nothing.
We didn't record for 2 minutes for nothing, and not record before that for 5 minutes for nothing, and consequently
Jake's
here we
eating.
are. And I'm eating.
What are you having?
So this place called Don Carbon. It's like chicken, beans, and rice. So grilled chicken. It's really good Mexican rice.
You bring enough to share?
I actually did.
So where's my plate?
It's in the mail.
Ship it, fool.
I shipped you liquor. You still have yet to drink.
Yep. I don't think I'm supposed to drink on this one. Unfortunately.
That's the first question you're supposed to ask every time you get new meds.
Yep.
Can I drink with this?
No,
Or-
I normally don't drink much. Although, like the last one, I really kind of liked drinking. Should have done it with the last med.
You did. You told it was like 4 or 5 podcasts ago. You said you went out and you had like some beers at like a, I don't know if you went to a tap house or a bar.
No, yeah, we did a trivia night and went to a bar, had a beer.
Trivia night. Well, it's neither here nor there. How's the recuperating going, sir?
It's going. I did do hot yoga on Friday, which I'm surprisingly still fairly flexible. My ankle strength, I don't have ankle strength like those standing on your fucking tiptoes and or a single foot, with your leg like a fucking
Crane.
flamingo or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah.
Well, is that ankle strength or is that calf strength with like working tendons in your ankle?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both, but I know my ankle was the one that it was felt wobbly and weak.
Shit. What kind of shoes do you wear?
Normally, well, I haven't worn regular shoes in a while, but low tops typically. When I fenced, I would fence with high tops for a long time.
Because I was gonna suggest you start wearing some high tops until you can get your ankle strength back. But I wouldn't wear them the entire time because then they become a crutch. But yeah.
But you don't wear any shoes in yoga.
Right. But I mean, like day-to-day operations, I'd probably wear some high tops just to support myself until I start getting muscular development back down there, and then I would alternate between maybe some high tops and some cross trainers. Because there's a lot of cross trainers that are like mid up there. You know what I mean?
I've got like the cross trainers shoes, but they're like the low top. I wear to the gym.
Hold on, is it go, get my fucking cats, little beggars. So you're going to the gym? Is that what you said?
Yeah, with my trainer. I told you that months ago. Same stuff.
Oh,
You're dragging it out because you're eating.
Well, no, I'm not dragging it out. I thought you were like going to the gym solo, and I was gonna be happy. I was gonna be like, hell yeah, brother.
No, I go to the gym to work out with my trainer.
So, yeah, well, I am working on my house. Got a lot to do. Spent some time on the roof today, tarring, patching, and shit. I got a bunch of drywall stuff I bought, and I gotta work on that tomorrow. I have, and this is just me venting. I have a neighbor over here, and that neighbor had a party, and we went to Lowe's, and somebody broke one of my solar lights. It's like one of those. I have two different ones. I just have the one that illuminates the walkway, and then I have another one that's like a spotlight, and I spotlight the bushes or the hedges, to highlight, showcase it as people drive by. It just kind of looks kind of nice, especially if you have like all the lights off. So someone broke one of those last week. So we went to Lowe's yesterday, got another one, came home, and another one was broken. And the guy next door is having this party with like an inflatable bouncy house. And there's a truck parked right on my curb. And right where the door is, that's where the light is broken. So I wasn't accusing anybody of anything because I didn't see what happened. But then consequently, like the guy that was there at the party was a guy that I'd known from the other gym I used to go to. And he's a real asshole. And it's like, dude, like I just want people... I just want everybody that live around me. I just want them to be nice until I fucking move, and then I don't care what they do. You know what I mean? Like I'm so fucking sick and tired of having neighbors that I can yell at. Like I can, hey, quit being an. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of having neighbors. And then the other neighbor, I don't know if maybe I told you this. My other neighbor had a whole bunch of dogs and a whole bunch of cats, and their cats were outdoor cats, and they were coming over and they were chewing up the plants. Well. Now they're using my backyard as a litter box. And I already talked to the guy. I was just kind of like, dude, like, and I was trying to be nice. Hey, you can't have outdoor cats because they're coming over into my yard and they're doing this stuff. Well, this morning I'm ready to go to bed because I've been up, making sure the son was asleep. I let the dogs out, and that's normally something I don't do. That's something that the woman normally does because I usually just go straight to bed. But I was like, I'll go out there, and the dog just makes a beeline for the side door. I go over there, and I see, like, the dog's, like, doing this. And usually when the dog does that, it's some kind of piss or shit. And I see some disturbed ground, and I'm like, has she been digging up the ground over here? No, it's the fucking cats. So I kind of got my work shoes on, and I dig around, and I see what I think is a pile of shit. So I go get the pooper scooper, and I start excavating the dirt, and I see warm cat shit, like, fresh cat shit. Like the cats had probably been out there shitting 5 minutes before I went out the door with the dogs. And so I wrote them a nice, nasty note. And consequently, I just took all that shit and I threw it over the fence. I'm just tired. I don't understand how hard it is. Like, and here's the other thing. So they have 5 cats. They're all outdoor cats. And I said, like we have 5 cats too. We have 5 cats, 4 litter boxes. They all live in the house. They're not outdoor cats. And, you might not want to leave your cats outside because there's a lot of not-so-friendly dogs. There's coyotes. They could get lost. They could get ran over. There's not a lot of good people in the neighborhood. Somebody was on the neighborhood post saying somebody stabbed their dog. And it was I kind of felt bad, but it was like, well, where was your dog? Well, I left my dog in the backyard, and he jumped the fence. And it's like, so did he jump the fence and attack someone, and someone felt the need to stab your dog? Or is there just an asshole that saw a dog out on the road, coaxed him over, and stabbed him? Like, I don't know. More of the story is, take care of your fucking animals, right? And I just don't know how hard it is. And now these people, we were getting ready to leave last weekend we were going to go to Lowe's last weekend. And as we were getting ready to go to Lowe's last weekend, their fucking dogs are in our front lawn. Like, some of their dogs that got out of their yard, they got out of the little chicken wire fence that they had on the gate. And so we're trying to get them back in their fence, and the one dog's being very difficult. So Tiffany gets a leash, and we get him on the leash, and we're trying to put him over the fence, and he's just giving us a hard time. So I just kind of yoke him up. He's hanging from a leash for about 2 seconds, and I just drop him over the fence and then just wiggle the leash off because it's one of those noose, like, But yeah, dude, they have 8 dogs now. They have 8 dogs and they have 5 cats. And here's the other thing. Like, as if this matters to me, but my neighbor that lived there, that was the one that had the obnoxious blue heeler. And he had the most beautiful yard, dude. Like, the most beautiful grass, beautiful trees. And I was up on the roof today, and I never see those guys outside working on the lawn, ever. And I look, I'm gonna look over the roof, and it's just dead. All the fucking grass in their backyard is dead. Like, they bought this guy's house, paid way overpriced for it, what it was worth. And then they just destroyed the backyard, and they're just terrible neighbors with their pets, with their animals. And I just cannot.
There's got to be some city ordinance or something about how many pets you can have.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure that, and
So
they
be the little statist you are, and contact the city and find out.
No. This is what I'm gonna do. I got two options. I left a note on their door because it was 7:30 in the morning and I didn't want to wake them up. But when I was doing the roof and I came down from the roof, the note was still on the door. So it tells me they just never came out of their house, or they saw the note and they left it there. Either way, they'll see the note at some point. And I'm just going to go get I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm either going to get a little raccoon cage and I'm going to catch their cats and I'm just going to start throwing them out in the desert so some coyotes can find them. Or...
don't do that.
Or...
Do sprinklers.
Do sprinklers? What are you talking about?
Motion sensing sprinklers.
Dude, I'm only here for like another month and some change. Like, well, I'm not going to spend that kind of money. Or I'm just going to... This guy's in the Army. His wife's in the Army. I'm just going to go to where they work, and I'm asked to talk to their supervisor. And that's the cool thing about being military is you're always on duty. So I look, man, your soldier, your Joe, has 13 fucking animals. And they're always in my shit. And I've asked him nicely twice. You know, because Tiffany saw me writing a letter this morning. She's like, oh, I don't want to read that. I was like, well, you got to kind of make these nice because you're putting it on paper. So it's almost like a permanent document. Yeah, you got to be like, I'm going to kill you, asshole. And then, you know, I put my name and I put my phone number in. I put my address. So just so he knew who it was. But no, am I going to get the city involved? Probably not. Probably not. But, you know, I told the guy the first time, I said, dude, I'm leaving soon. We are moving. I am trying to sell this house. I just need you to take care of your animals. And they don't. It's just... And you know what's funny, dude? You know what's funny? I'm willing to bet $5 to a bucket of shit. They're from California. Like, they really seem like Californians. Now, I know you're from California, but I mean your stereotypical Southern California person. They really give off that vibe. So, and the funny thing was, as a goodwill of coming to the neighborhood, I put a bottle of wine in one of those gift bags. I put a nice bottle of whiskey, and I put a box of freshly baked chocolate cookies in there. Now that I make them, no, I bought them from some vendor, so I supported the vendor. I put the chocolate cookies in there. I put a bottle of whiskey. I put a bottle of wine, and I put it on their door. You know, welcome to the neighborhood kind of thing. And this is what they do to me. Like I'm so fucking done living in a neighborhood. I just want to live out in the fucking country. I want some land. I want acres all around my fucking house. I want an 8-foot fence. You know, maybe a couple guard posts on a couple corners, catty corner on the square lot. Enough clear, you know, from that fence to like the forest is about 50 meters of clearing. That way I just got some good kill lanes open. I am tired of living because everybody that lives around me just finds a way to let me. And here's the thing is, I don't let my dogs loose. I don't let my cats loose. I pick up my weeds. It rained a lot here. People got lazy. Nobody picked up their fucking weeds. So like when you try to walk around the neighborhood, there's fucking weeds growing everywhere, and they got those goat head. But like people here are fucking shit, man. I'm done with this place. I'm fucking done, son. I'm fucking done. I want out. People are shit. Like this whole...
Tell you what.
What?
I'll find some property. Because I've been looking for big chunks of property. Get a large enough plot. We can split it. You can take one side. I'll take the other. And then we'll like run a network. We'll get fiber dropped. And then we can set up our guard posts and moats. Man, you forgot moats.
Tiffany doesn't like moats.
She like moats.
She has her reasons. Offline.
Seriously?
Offline.
What about minefields?
Minefields. I don't know about minefields. I mean, if a stray child, that's a child. You know, adults are different, but fucking not a minefield. What?
Natural selection, man.
We better have a good lawyer on retainer then.
What are you talking about, man? We just dig a hole in the backyard. Got a big enough backyard. What's that? You plant some rare endangered plant on top of the grave site so they can't just dig it up?
Yeah, well, okay, all right. We'll call it the JDMZ, the Jake Drake militarized zone.
There you go.
Mm. All right, I'm done eating now. Sorry, and I'm done ranting about my fucking neighbors. Good idea, though. I really
It'd be
do.
worse though, dude.
Mm.
You could be guarding an airport.
I knew it. I knew we were going to do the elephant in the room this week. Yes. 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 Lay it on me, Darian.
No, there's nothing to lay on. I mean, should have been done years ago. There's no easy way out of Afghanistan. Fucking the Russians proved that shit. There's no easy way out of Afghanistan. So, we shouldn't have been there in the first place. I know someone was... who the fuck was it? Jesus. Who was the Secretary of State?
Rumsfeld.
No, after him.
Shit, I don't know. There was a fuck ton in Obama's and Trump's.
Trump ate a whole... Trump went through them like fucking toilet paper. And somebody was saying something about, we were there to stop terrorist groups from attacking us here. No, we shouldn't have been there. We were there making money for, the military-industrial complex, Raytheon, et cetera, and oil and.
Afghanistan doesn't have oil.
Oh, that's right. They've got opium.
That's different, but you're conflating Iraq and Afghanistan. But yeah, I continue though. Military.
No, we shouldn't have been there. We should have fucking bailed. We should have taken care of our shit and left them to do their own nation building.
So if I were the Secretary of Defense, I would say, oh, you guys decided to do that? Well, guess what? It's like, yes, this is United States of America. We are here for these people, and we are going to occupy your country. We are not going to build roads. We are not going to give people jobs. We are not leaving till we find this guy. We will go through your house. We will go through it again. The sooner you turn him over, the sooner we leave. Right? That's how that would have worked. So we could have been there for 6-8 years. But what I'm saying is we could have been there for 6-8 years. But when we killed the guy, we're leaving. That's it. And in the meantime, we're not building schools. We're not giving them democracy. We're not, you know what I mean? We're not doing any of that shit. We're just occupying bases there, looking for this cocksucker. And then once we find him, we're withdrawing properly. You know what I mean? So it's not like these people are leaning on you, thinking they're going to have a job for the next 60 years, thinking that you're going... You know what I mean? Like, I agree completely with you, but I think you stay there till you kill this cocksucker. And you make an example out of him. I don't think you throw him over the fucking... into the sea either. I think you kill that motherfucker, and you do him like Viking style, bro. You put him up on that thing, and then you slice his back open, and you give him the wings with the lungs. You do something so graphic, man, that people fucking remember that. And they're going to hate you, but they're going to be like, dude, that country came over here, and they didn't do shit for us. They made our life miserable. They set up checkpoints on the roads. They raided our houses until they found this guy. Until they found this cocksucker that bombed their buildings and their Pentagon or whatever. That's what they did. Do we want them here again? Probably not. Because think of how much more money we would have saved if we didn't build their roads that they didn't take care of, or their building, schools and buildings, and just show up and squat till you find the dude. Because there's no other way to kill the guy. you can't set up outposts, anywhere around. You can't set them up in like Syria or Pakistan. Like it just doesn't work that way. You have to be in the country to look for this guy. And they found him in Pakistan, right? It was Pakistan, I believe, is where they got him. But
yeah.
That's just that's my take. I agree with you to the extent of like we should not be building democracy, period, in any country. We can't even fucking build democracy here. That's the sad.
Democracy is bullshit anyway. The only true democracy would be individuals doing their own shit and voluntarily working with their neighbors. But if we had pure democracy here, it'd be a fucking mess, man.
Well, we are getting a taste of what pure democracy is right now. For the past 7 months, we've got a taste of what pure democracy is in this country. So, I won't disagree with you there, sir. But how dare us to go over there? Especially a country that's been around longer than us. And, I mean, and the thing is, like, Afghanistan in, like, the 70s was almost a modern country. There's kids going to college wearing, like, normal people clothes for the 70s. And then you had these fucking clowns take over. And now they're living in, like, the medieval ages over there. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Oh, and we were arming them back then, too. Those clowns.
We were arming them in the 80s, though, weren't we?
Late 70s, early 80s, yeah.
Talk about when the Soviets were there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a history buff. I don't know. Why did the Soviets go there? You know this. You should know this. You're older than me.
I don't remember why.
Yeah, so the Soviets are there.
But we should have learned our fucking lesson, man. I mean, we created the Taliban, basically.
We created the Taliban.
No, we armed them. We gave them money. We gave them resources, and that's where we're at now. Now China's the next one to get involved over there.
I think it's going to work with China, though. Because,
you think?
Yeah, China doesn't... Dude, China doesn't play that way. Like, China doesn't... First of all, China is not... It's not a NATO country. They don't have ethics. So if the people got out of the line... They're already enslaving millions of Uyghurs anyway and cutting off their reproductive shits and doing all sorts of crazy shit to them. And, like, what does the Taliban care? The Taliban are just basically like, they're the authoritarians, right? So they're the ones in control. It's a country of like 36 million people, and there's only 75,000 of the Taliban. So they make a deal with China, and China's going to go over there, and they're going to mine the minerals or whatever the hell China wants to do. And if the Taliban gets out of line, or any of the people get out of the line, the Chinese are just going to do whatever they do. Like, because they don't have ethics. Like, the government of China is not bound to, like, some moral, ethical law like any other NATO nation would be. If the government of Germany was in there, or France was in there, and, there'd be civilian considerations. There always would be. But China don't give a fuck. So, I think China is just essentially going to become a Chinese satellite. I think that's the point too. I think if they got a foothold in Afghanistan, then that puts them closer to India. Because remember, they had a tiff with India not too long ago, right?
So.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I just think I think the biggest disappointment is the way that your president did this. I say your president just to be funny, but I guess he's my president too. I just can't believe. I don't know, dude.
I mean, the only thing I would have changed about it would be taking all your shit. Don't leave fucking helicopters. Don't leave fucking all this equipment and shit. They freak out because 100 nods are fucking missing from a base in Texas, and it doesn't happen to fall into my lap, motherfucker. But they leave hundreds, thousands of them over there. They leave, weapons. They leave arms, they, choppers, all sorts of shit.
I mean, the most important part is they left 15,000 Americans there, 10 to 15,000 Americans. Like, I'm not trying to sound callous and like I don't give a fuck about the Afghani people. Yes, we left $2 billion worth of equipment there, but we left 10 to 15,000 Americans there. If when you talk to the fucking liberal, you talk to the leftists, and they're always just like, oh, where's your emotion? Where's your compassion for your fellow men? Well, I tell you this much, like, if I was the commander-in-chief, I would have had a fucking game plan for getting those people out of there. More so than the $2 billion worth of... Because, I mean, I'll be real, getting $2 billion worth of shit out of there. I saw a checklist of what it was. It was like 16,000 M4s, this many this many that, this many nods, whatever. 15,000 people. You can't make a plan to get those people out. Like, you're in such a hurry to get a fucking political win that you're gonna leave 15,000 American citizens at the hands of the Taliban. Like, this makes Benghazi look like nothing. This makes Benghazi look like nothing. So, yes.
Well, like with most scandals and stuff, it's not as much the act as the cover-up. That was the issue about Benghazi, was the cover-up and the denials and the trying to pass the buck. This, Biden's at least admitted, yeah, there's a whole bunch of Americans there, and we're going to get them out, blah, 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 whether he has yet or not. At least he's owning up to it.
He didn't own up. He didn't own up to it. No. What he said was, well, and this is funny, is he said we had to do this. We had to get out now because Trump made a deal that said we got out. That's what he said, right? That's his thing. He's following on, well, Trump made this deal, so we got to get out now, right? But Trump made the deal to get out back in, like, May, okay? And Biden didn't want to get out in May. And then now all of a sudden he wants to get out now because he wants some symbolism of September 11th, which I think is terrible symbolism, right? But every other fucking thing Trump has done, this guy has, like, reneged on. Everything Trump has done, this guy has 180'd. Yet on this one policy, this one foreign policy thing, he wants to blame Trump on. Like, I was doing Trump's thing. Like, he didn't do the Remain in Mexico. He didn't keep the Keystone Pipeline open. I mean, just, I could go down the line of things that Trump did, and Biden just fucking executive ordered out. But this is Trump's thing because I'm Joe Biden, and, like, no, dude, get the fuck out of here. And if you listen to Lloyd Austin, that motherfucker, and Lloyd Austin is just basically like, yeah, we have all these people still there. And then they're like, do you have plans to get them out? Are they going to get them out? And Lloyd Austin is basically saying, we don't have immediate plan. And here's the worst part. We are completely out of the country right now, like outside of a fucking airport. So we have no visual. We have nothing. We have no eyes on the ground. We have no friends there. We have nothing there. And we have no leverage. We have known. We like you're negotiating with terrorists and you have no leverage. Like, remember when we had that orange guy in office and a terrorist was killing American civilians, and then he was turned into road pizza, like, not too long after, like, boom, dead. And then there was another guy, boom, dead. Like that. That's fucking leverage. That's strength. I don't give a fuck what you say about the orange man. But that guy was like, speak softly, carry a big stick, and that's... But this guy is a fucking imbecile. He has no plan. He has no plan. You're pulling out of somewhere, you need a plan. We pulled out of Iraq, that was Obama, but even though we pulled out of Iraq, we had a plan to get the civilians out. We had a plan to get the contractors out. We had a plan to get our equipment out. Now, we still have people in Iraq, but we have an operational size force there. We didn't leave 15,000 fucking civilians there, man. Unfucking acceptable. like we're relying on the kindness of the Taliban to get those people back. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what Joe Biden says. He's full of shit. and I think the most surprising thing was General Milley, another guy which I strongly dislike. A woke activist fucking general. Basically said that he really wishes that 45 was back. As much bad blood as there was between them, as much as he and 45. Like, and you think someone is a general, coming up through the ranks, like that guy would understand, like, you don't like your boss, but you do what your boss says. especially in the army. Well, your boss is this guy, and you don't like it. Well, I'm sorry that you're at the top of the food chain in the army, but this is your boss, so fucking do what he says. And now he's like, I really wish that we had 45, because 45 wouldn't have done this. I don't care what anybody says. There would have been a and one more thing is Trump actually he appointed a committee to effectively make a plan, a strategy to pull out of Afghanistan. You know what Biden did when Biden got in office? In June, he shut that committee down. He disbanded the committee. That's Joe Biden. But the same guy that's going to tell you, oh, we had to pull out because Trump made that deal. Like, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck 46. Actually, fuck 44. Because he's basically Obama 2.0. I don't think you can disagree with that.
Eh. I don't know. We should have been out of there years ago, though.
I agree. Totally agree. But I do think that for the sake of because I see some people make that argument. Well, we were there, and they were making the argument based on the fact that they wanted to comfort the soldiers that went and the people that the families that sacrificed. They wanted to give it like an altruistic motive, make people feel a little bit better about the shit show that just happened. And they're like, well, we went over there and we were there for a long time because we were making sure that terror didn't come over here. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that, but that's not what we're supposed to do, right?
That's not even what they were doing.
No. Go ahead.
By occupying, okay, if some foreign country occupies our country, what are you going to do? You're going to want to fight back. It doesn't matter if they're fucking building schools or roads or whatever the fuck.
I would want to fight back. You would want to fight back. But how many other Americans that you know would want to fight back?
The ones I know? Quite a few.
Okay, but you know some that wouldn't.
I understand the point you're trying to make. But the point is, that's, so that's how terrorists get labeled.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'd be the ones fighting back, so we'd be the ones called terrorists for this, by this new occupying nation.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what's happening is our occupying these other countries and shit, dropping our bombs, fucking up schools, drone striking weddings. All you're doing is radicalizing these other countries and these people, and it has become religious because it appears that way. Whether it truly is or not, it appears to be the apocalyptic prophecies coming true about the great war between Christians and Muslims or whatever. So whether the intention is there behind the scenes or it's just purely a coincidence, that's there. But the bottom line is it's profitable. That's why they stayed there so long, because it was profitable.
Let me run another thing by you. But if this country, let's say, was occupying our country because we had a terrorist that carried out some kind of major attack on their country, right? Let's say, I don't know, fucking China. Let's say we had like a couple dudes that went over there and assassinated something, or did something fucking drastic, right? And China was like, turn this dude over or else. And they were like, right? Then they came over and occupied us. Does that change anything?
No.
Do you still want to fight them? Like,
yeah.
You still want to fight them?
Hell yeah. You wouldn't?
Yeah, I guess I see that. I do see that.
And it wouldn't matter how many roads they fucking build or schools or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
it would still be an occupying force in my home country.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Makes
And
sense.
and the collaborators would probably be killed, just like was happening in Afghanistan.
Oh, you mean the people that were helping China out if China invaded us? Like we would
Yep.
find them and kill them. So what's the solution? So if there was a 9/11 again, and the dude bombed our country or did something like that, what are you doing, President Drake?
We have the technology to, track them remotely and whatnot for a good part of it.
We do
Um,
now, but we didn't. We didn't in the 2000s.
didn't as much then, yeah,
I mean,
but we still
ergo
have
Patriot Act.
this fucking hokey bullshit. That was used to fucking spy on more Americans than fucking terror suspects.
But I mean, yeah, like so. Okay, nowadays, but if this was the early 2000s, I mean, we have some technology. We still have like probably the best technology in the world. But how are you going about finding the guy responsible? You know he's in Afghanistan, or you know he's in China.
Well,
or
I would
wherever.
look. First of all, I would look at the intel ahead of time and not let it happen.
Oh well, yeah, that's another story. Yeah,
But
it happened. It happened. What are you doing? Like, what is the best? I'm not saying the
well,
perfect.
not invading Iraq for starters.
Well, that's a different
Um,
thing. That's a different story. But yeah,
Well, but that's what happened. What was the first fucking thing? Where did we go after 9/11?
we went to Afghanistan and then we went to Iraq.
We barely went to Afghanistan. We invaded Iraq,
There's
and there's no reason for it. And don't tell me weapons of mass destruction.
I'm not gonna argue with you. There was after all the evidence came out, like the hindsight is 2020, right?
Somebody was pissed because their daddy got dissed and wanted to finish the job.
That could have been it too, or it could have been. You can make the argument that Cheney's company Halliburton needed money, and therefore Cheney needed money, and so. But I mean, the intelligence we were getting was from the Prime Minister of Britain. I forgot what his name was.
I know.
Tony Blair. Tony Blair.
They had intel from before that they had this and that, but there was no reason to invade Iraq. And when we do things like that, if we said, okay, so Bin Laden, attacked us, big terrorist attack. If we go starting just smacking around everybody willy-nilly, that's how you radicalize people. If we went in and did, like you were saying, a surgical strike on his, it's like, hey, anywhere we suspect he's hiding, we're going to bomb. So, civilians be warned, or things like that. It would have been over a lot quicker. But part of the problem is we were trying to fight a politically correct war.
I agree.
And
I agree completely.
They weren't allowed to just go in there and level, these strongholds and compounds. But part of that's also because the bad guys were hiding, or not hiding, but were keeping civilians there. Like they
Hiding
used,
in a mosque or some shit.
Yeah, and they use these, hospitals, mosques, like in Jerusalem. They people were complaining about, oh, they took down the AP building. Well, we told everybody to get out of there because that building was being used for Hamas. So that kind of thing. So they're using these non-military sites for military essentially purposes. And so that was the big part of the problem, was that they're coming into it or going into it trying to be politically correct about it.
I
and
agree.
If we had gone in and just, first of all, we shouldn't have been fucking around over there in the first place. But if we're gonna go in over there and do that, then just be quick, be brutal, be done, and be gone. But no need to occupy. We had friendly nations that would let that we had bases and stuff that we could launch from and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting perspective. I didn't necessarily think about it that way, but I don't know back in the 2000s. You don't have the drone strike capability you have now. You didn't have the unarmed or unmanned aerial vehicle technology that I mean, we had a lot of technology, but we didn't have 20. I mean, I just keep looking at Qasem Soleimani as a perfect example of what the capability of the military is. There was that thing. There was a UAV that was shot down by the Iranians. I think it was in 2019, and it was like I don't know, dude, it was like a $15 million UAV shot down by the Iranians. And you know what? Maybe rightfully so. It's in their airspace. Yeah, they are a sovereign nation. We don't agree with them, and they don't agree with us. But they were, oh, how's Trump gonna respond? And Trump didn't respond how they wanted him to, which was to bomb the fuck out of Iran over a UAV. Because I think dude said, yeah, I called the guys and I was like, well, how many people, how many innocent civilians? And he's like, okay, well, yeah, okay. But when it came to Qasem Soleimani, when they found out that dude was in a Suburban heading down the street to go to some meeting, they fucking boom, dude. It was just like a laser came out of the sky and zapped him. That is the capability we have now. And that being said, if there was some dude that bombed some major buildings in the U.S. and killed a lot of civilians.
You cut out your mic cut out.
Is it working? Are we
Now it
back?
is.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, like, the way we killed Soleimani is how technology is nowadays. But the fallout from the Twin Towers is 3,100 dead. I mean, to date. I mean, immediately it was like 2,500 at the time between the people in the towers and the people in the planes. And then, of course, you have all the other people dying of like cancer and disease and stuff as a result. But then I don't know how you go about, because you have to do something. I don't care if you're Bush. I don't care if you're other Bush. I don't care if you're Clinton. I don't care if you're Obama. I don't care if you're Biden. I don't care if you're Trump. You have to respond to that. You have to say, we're not going to tolerate this shit. Because the minute that you just like, okay, well, whatever, then it's going to happen again. And it's going to happen again. And it's going to happen again. And then you're going to lose the confidence
So
of...
let me ask you this: why is it happening at all?
Let's say the intelligence wasn't there, right? Because that's something we could probably argue in another episode.
No. Why is it happening? Why are these countries and these people wanting to attack us in this way?
But it's Afghanistan. We haven't been involved in Afghanistan at that point for over 20 years. Like we supplied the Afghanis to fight the war against the Soviets. What are we doing? Like, we're not even involved in Afghanistan. We basically, the only presence we have in the Middle East is we're allies with Saudi Arabia, which is probably one thing, and we recognize Israel as a state, which could be another thing. I don't know why. What you tell me? Do you know something I don't know? Like, why would Afghanistan? Well, why would al-qaeda?
Bin Laden wrote his letter, saying exactly why, and it's because we were supporting the Russians in attacking Muslims in Somalia, or in Chechnya, but also for the supporting attacking Muslims in Somalia. But he had a fucking letter.
Is that what he said? Is that true? I mean, is it true?
Yeah, let me look it up. Hold on a second. It was like Osama's or Bin Laden's letter to America. Hang on. To the American people. Blah, blah. Okay, let's see. Former president, like Jewish control.
Like, I know the Saudis don't get along with Iran. I know Saudis don't get along with Afghanistan. I know that obviously Muslims don't care for Jews, generally speaking. So that's the only thing that comes to mind, really. You're like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a history buff. Um,
Looking at this thing. I don't know if this is the right one. Here we go. Some American writers, on what basis are we fighting? Question one, why are we opposing you? Question two, what are we calling to you and what do we want from you? As for the first question, why are we fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple. Because you attacked us and you continue to attack us. A, you attacked us in Palestine. B, you attacked us in Somalia. You support the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya, the Indian oppression against us in Kashmir, and the Jewish aggression against us in Lebanon. C, under your supervision, consent, and orders, the government of our countries which act as your agents attack us on a daily basis. And there's subpoints. D, you steal our wealth and oil at paltry prices because of you international influence and military threats. This theft is indeed the biggest theft ever witnessed by mankind in the history of the world. E, your forces occupy our country. You spread your military bases throughout them, corrupt our lands, besiege our sanctities, protect the security of the Jews, and ensure the continuity of your pillage of our treasures. F, you have starved the Muslims of Iraq, where children die every day. It is a wonder that more than 1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. Yet when 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down. G, you have supported the Jews in their idea that Jerusalem is their eternal capital, and agreed to move your embassy there. With your help and under your protection, the Israelis are planning to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And the protection of your weapons, Sharon entered the Al-Aqsa Mosque to pollute it as preparation to capture and destroy it. Subpoints. Hang on a minute, I'm losing track. So it's kind of done outline form, but not. Okay, because you attacked us. So two, these tragedies and calamities are only a few examples of your oppression and aggression against us. It is commanded by our religion and intellect that the opposed have a right to return aggression, do not await anything from us but jihad, resistance, and revenge. Is it in any way rational to expect that after America has attacked us for more than half a century, that we will leave her to live in security and peace? 3, you may then dispute that all the above does not justify aggression against civilians for crimes they did not commit and offenses in which they did not partake. A, this argument contradicts your continuous repetition that America is the land of freedom and its leaders in this world. Therefore, the American people are the ones who chose their government by way of their own free will, a choice which stems from the agreement to its policies. Thus, the American people have chosen, consented to, and affirmed their support for the Israeli oppression of the Palestinians, the occupation and usurpation of their land and its continuous killing, torture, punishment, and expulsion of the Palestinians. American people have the ability and choice to refuse the policies of their government and even to change it if they want. B, the American people are the ones who pay the taxes which fund the planes that bomb us in Afghanistan, the tanks that strike and destroy our homes in Palestine, the armies which occupy our lands, yada yada, tax dollars given to Israel, blah blah. C, also the American army is part of the American people. It is this very same people who are shamelessly helping the Jews fight against us. D, the American people are the ones who employ both their men and women in the armed American forces which attack us. E, this is why the American people cannot be innocent of all the crimes committed by the Americans and Jews against us. F, Allah the Almighty legislated the permission and option to take revenge. Thus, if we are attacked, then we have the right to attack back. Whoever has destroyed our villages and towns, then we have the right to blah, 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 blah. Well, then question 2, what are we calling you to do, you to, and what do we want from you? Oh, okay, that's his calling you to Islam, blah, blah. But, yeah. So, that's why September 11th happened.
So September 11th, basically, in a nutshell, out of all those bullets you said, half of those bullets revolved around Israel. Half of them. When you talk about Palestine, you're talking about Israel. When you talk about, like, it's Israel. It actually has nothing to do with Saudi Arabia. Apparently, there was I don't know whether or not there was a skirmish between the Russians and some Somalians, but
Well, no, that was like in the first points or whatever.
yeah, but like that is like you listed 20 things, and like 8 of those things had to do with Israel. 8 of them.
No, there's some other sub points that go into that, talking about the occupying forces.
2 things, 2 things, maybe 3. One, I don't know, like Israel's an ally. Countries have been like, here's the thing: is countries have been fighting for territory for years, right? To some extent, you look at countries in Africa. Countries are still countries, but within those countries, there's tribes that are still fighting for land. And you got China taking over Hong Kong. You got China basically wanting to take over Taiwan. You have Russia taking over Crimea. Like countries invade other countries. And the interesting thing is, like, we had the Palestine thing go on. It seems like 5 years ago, but what was it, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago? Like the Israelites and the Palestinians, the Israelites won that land basically in the 60s. In the 60s, there was a war, and Israel just stomped all over them. Now, someone could make the argument that they were allied with the U.S. and they had U.S. technology. Sure, whatever, man. But that's the point. The thing is, since the dawn of man, there's always been, I want your land, or I want these resources, and I'm going to fight you for it. And you got to be ready to defend yourself. And if you're not, you're going to get invaded. Same thing with our country, dude. Like, the same thing. Like, why do you think we spend so much on our national defense? Because the minute that we don't, someone's like, yeah, that's a nice plot of land you have there. And then we'll get invaded. And there's nothing you can do about it. And so the Palestinians, if you look traditionally through the Bible, the Palestinians and the Israelis, like, they have been at war since, if you look at the Bible as anything, then just look at it as a history book for forever. And the Israelites have been chased out of the land. I mean, it was their land according to the Bible. It was their land. It was given to them. That was our land. And then they got kicked out of the land, and then they ended up in Egypt, and then they just been all around, and now they're back at where their land is, right? So that was their land, and it just took them a long time to get their land back, and it took a long time before somebody actually said, you know what, this is Israel's land, and that happened to be the U.S., and that was an unpopular opinion. It really was.
And it's Britain, but
oh yeah, you're right. It was Britain. You're right. But the whole thing with the embassy too, like the embassy didn't get moved there until Trump was the president. This was back in 2001. This guy's talking like the embassy was never there. It was never in Jerusalem. Like many presidents, Bush again, like they were going to put the embassy and they just didn't do it. I don't know why. I'm not too keen on politics that happened while I was busy playing fucking Legos and eating dirt. But it seems like this dude's biggest qualm is with Israel. Like, okay, you can make
that's a big part of it is they see Jerusalem as their holy land, and the Jews see it as their holy land, and everybody's fighting over it.
But is it Mecca? Is it Mecca in fucking Saudi Arabia? Isn't that like that's where you make the Mecca, the pilgrimage from where you live to Mecca to honor Muhammad?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Mecca is in Saudi Arabia. And that's where, if you get one time during your entire life as a Muslim, you make the pilgrimage, you do all your fasting and bullshit, and then you go to Mecca and you pray and you honor Muhammad. So how is Israel, Jerusalem, the promised land or the holy land? Like, I'm befuddled.
No, it was the Palestinians' land.
It was the Palestinians took it from the Israelis though. So the Israelis took it back. That's my point.
If you look at the Bible, the Israelis the Jews were pretty much nomadic, and it wasn't the Palestinians that kicked them out and took it. It was God making them move around the place. Mm-hmm. It's the promised land. Canaan was the promised land, where to go. They were migrating there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. This is they believe that it is their well, God-given right to that land.
Mm-hmm.
God promised it to them in the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
So it really comes down to a bunch of religious bullshit that we need to stay the fuck out of.
You say that,
And
but
really,
now you're allied with him, so you kind of got to do something, you know. Yeah, and at this point, you're just allied with them. That's all you are. And well, we're gonna fly these planes into your building because you're allied with them. That's well, why didn't they do it to Britain? Why didn't they do it to the UK? And little does Osama bin Laden know, or little did he.
well, because since then we have pretty much taken over the propping up of Israel.
Sure. But little does that guy know, we don't actually vote for who's in charge. What a clown. So by proxy, because we elected a government, like even if the elections were 100% and every time we voted for somebody it was done 100%, no discrepancies, right? If that was the case all the time, like it's still it's an electoral college process. So you may have 48% of the people voted for this guy and 50% of the people voted for this guy, and this guy's in office. So there's always a large portion of people that didn't vote for the guy that's in office. And either way, like normally that policy through, every president, despite, I think Obama being one of the few, again, that I can recall because I've only lived on this earth so long, it was always a pro-Israel stance. So, yeah, good job, dude.
Well, to be clear,
he just comes off as very, very fucking ignorant. Let's be clear about it.
He wasn't. He's not ignorant though. He was a very intelligent guy. And
I'm not saying no. I didn't say he was stupid. I said he was ignorant. He doesn't understand how American politics work. He doesn't understand how foreign policy works. Like, there's just a lot of things that he made some points. I'll say he made some points, and they were well thought out, but they weren't thought out. Like, okay, well, you're civilians by proxy. We're gonna bomb them too.
You asked. I mean, he talks about the civilians that are killed there in Iraq and Palestine and so on and so forth. So, I mean, he's aware, and he's making the point that the point I'm trying to get at is if we didn't fuck around in these other countries, and if we were allies with Israel, but if Israel goes and keeps bombing wherever, or not bombing them, but encroaching on the Palestinian territories or whatever, then what the fuck?
Well, that's the funny thing about between Palestine, which isn't a country, and Israel has tried to make concessions. And the only concessions that the Palestinians want is the complete destruction of Israel. So you have like two groups of people, and one group of the people's like, well, do you want the Golan Heights? Do you want this? Do you want this? And they're like, no deal, no deal, no deal, no deal, and no deal. And usually what's ended up happening was the Israelis just gave away, and they still got bombed, and they still got rocket attacked. And so what is Israel supposed to do? Are you just going to transplant? Like, even if people didn't care about fucking Jerusalem, what are you gonna do? Like, just airlift them somewhere, put them on an island? Like, where are you gonna put these people? They're there, and these people, like, their democratically elected government is trying to negotiate with these Palestinians to say, what do you want to live in peace? And the only thing the Palestinians want is to kill all the Israelis. That's all they want. They don't want any Jewish people in the area, period. They don't want a 50-50. They want nothing. They just want them dead. That's what they've said that several times. Does this guy not understand that? Like, what a fucking kook. So to me, you know what it sounds like? It just sounds like, yes, you are absolutely right. It is a bunch of religious malarkey, because I've been told by several people that, Islam is a peaceful religion, but you have ass clowns like this that just turn around and make this shit radical and make it look bad for the rest of everybody else. Kind of like those.
Well, yeah, I mean the biblical Christian folk do the same thing.
They did, and some, I guess nowadays, I guess that version is they just act like they're really good people and they're not. But whether
or they bomb abortion clinics, or
I
kill
I
doctors.
can't remember the last time that happened. Like, it was at the 90s. And what happened to those people? Did they go to jail? Did they go to jail? I'm sure they went to jail. I'm sure they found who did it and they put him in jail. And that shit stopped happening. So yeah, I get it. People do crazy shit, but like this shit is going on for. Like, we still have people blowing up shit in the name of fucking Allah. Like, nobody's blowing up shit in the name of Jesus Christ. Nobody's doing that. But whatever. All right. So he bombed us. Anyway, that's where we are. He bombed us. How do you get rid of him in the 2000s? Do you occupy the entire country? Do you try to set up shop in Iraq because you already have Iraq, and you have Saudi Arabia? You kind of have Turkey. Like, how are you finding this guy?
If we were allies with Saudi Arabia, and
Mm-hmm.
could have used worked with them to launch our search. We did not need to occupy Iraq.
Well, I'm saying, like, we already had at that point, right? Like, Iraq fell very quickly. Shock and awe.
Why do we have to go in there though? That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
well, that's not what I'm arguing. Like, I'm
But,
not.
but that's what I'm saying. Are going in there meddling with these other countries and shit. So okay, so they come in, they fuck up the. Well, actually, I don't. This was, I think, the letter was written in 2002, and we went into Iraq. Was it a month after? 2 months after?
It was a couple months after Afghanistan.
Like November?
Mm, I'm not sure, but it was the end of 2001 when the invasion of Iraq started. Just Google search. Uh, no, it was the end of 2003. It was March 2003. I'm sorry. God, I am so all over the place. The invasion of Afghanistan was definitely 2001.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. So okay, I've got a thing up. Uh, in an address on September 20th, 2001, President Bush demanded the Taliban deliver bin Laden and other al-Qaeda leaders to the United States or share their fate. They refused.
Mm-hmm.
So it was October 7th is when we started bombing Taliban strongholds. And this article does not say anything about when we went to Iraq.
Iraq was in 2003.
Oh, 2003. Yeah, here it is. While approximately 8,000 American troops remain in Afghanistan as part of the International Security Assistance Force overseen by NATO, U.S. military focus turned to Iraq in 2003. The same year, U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld declared major combat operations had come to an end in Afghanistan. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because everybody crawled back into a fucking cave or across the border. So now as far as the cities go, dudes are not in the cities. They're either in a cave somewhere or they're in Pakistan. That's pretty much how that worked out. But I agree. We shouldn't be meddling. And I guess, like I said, I can't think of why the dude would do it, with the exception of being allies with another country, because we didn't actually directly do anything to al-Qaeda, and we did nothing to Afghanistan directly. And if anything, we helped the Afghanis fight off the Soviets, if anything. Now, this whole Chechenian thing, that sounds a little fucking convoluted there.
Well, we were helping the Afghanis fight the Soviets because we were in a Cold War with the Soviets.
Yeah, that's
We weren't
what,
helping them because we gave any fucks about the Afghanis.
that. Well, it doesn't matter what you still didn't. You didn't harm them. You didn't bomb them. You didn't do anything to them. It doesn't matter why you help them. But I'm saying, like, I can't think of why. And you read off his little missive as to why he's doing what he's doing or why he did what he did. And before you said it, I said the only thing I could think of is just allies. Okay, well, we're gonna bomb you because you're allies with these people, and these are what these people have done to us. And it's like, well, like maybe you should talk it out with those people first. Take care of something at the lowest level. That's what adults do. I have a problem with my neighbor. I don't go run to the city. I try to deal with it at the lowest level. I try to deal with it with my neighbor. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't fucking go get the state involved. So, but yeah, what a fucking clown. We occupied. I just don't know what else you do. Like, okay, it happened. They got bombed. You have to respond. You have to do something. Not doing something makes the people doubt the legitimacy of their government to take care of them. Like, yeah, the government does a terrible job of taking care of people, but the government should, at a minimum, at least guarantee some safety, right? You shouldn't have to worry about going down to the street and getting bombed by al-qaeda while you pick up a fucking donut in a newspaper. You shouldn't have to worry about that. People start doubting that, then they start doubting the government, they start doubting the government, then you start having, riots, anarchy, civil war, and, fall of your republic. That's kind of how that goes. So you have to answer. How do you answer? Do you occupy the country? Maybe, maybe not, but you sure as hell don't occupy the country and build schools and roads and buildings and then try to change their government to try to make them like us. Like, fundamentally, everybody says that all religion is the same, and I kind of disagree with that. Like, I guess when you talk about it, like, murder's wrong, right? I think, Jews think murder's wrong. I think Islam thinks, followers of Islam think murder's wrong, right? But, like, when it comes to other things, Jews seem to have women's rights. Since the 20s, women's have rights here. UK women have rights. In fact, I would argue that women have more rights than men do, which is another podcast willing to entertain that. But women don't have rights over there. They don't. They haven't had rights since the fucking 70s when the radical Muslims took over. I mean, there's a lot of things that you just can't institute, not just democracy, but the way that our country's based off of what they call, like, Judeo-Christian values. That's the terminology I hear. Take care of yourself. Be responsible. Leave people the fuck alone. Be a good person, right? Not necessarily religious principles, as in Sabbath day, keeping it holy, but don't murder, don't steal, don't covet, obey your mother and your father. Those things. Love one another. Vengeance is mine, kind of thing, saith the Lord. Like, these are all things that, like, I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find in a Shari or Sunni or Shiite fucking type of government. Like, why go over there and just fucking... You can't rewrite thousands of years of history. Country that's only been around for roughly 400 years. You can't do that. That's a fucking big no-no. I don't know. But I won't say prayers, but thoughts definitely go out because I am mad. I am mad as hell. I'm mad as hell that there's 15,000 Americans over there. That is just fucking terrible. I don't care who you voted for. You should think that's terrible. You really should.
Of course I think it's terrible, but I also think it's terrible that we were there at all. I still think it's terrible we were there at all. We shouldn't have occupied. Saudi Arabia is our allies. Then we could have worked with them to launch from their space. The thing is, I mean, the Afghanistan government has never been really stable, and all we did was prop up other powers in there from the Taliban for a while, and now the Taliban's back, and that's it. We didn't do shit except waste a lot of fucking money, a lot of fucking lives, and oh, we got the dude. But that was what, 10 years ago?
Who, Osama?
Was it? Yeah.
Dude. I want to say it was like 2014 or 2015.
No. It was like 11 or 12, but.
Oh, okay, it was 2011.
So 10 years.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a map, and I see where Saudi Arabia is, and I see where Afghanistan is, and there's this really big country that you have to fly across to get Afghanistan. It's called Iran. So you have Iraq, which, you know, borders Iran, and Afghanistan is north of Pakistan, south of Tajikistan and Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. So it's basically surrounded by a bunch of Muslim countries. I don't see how you run any satellite operations, and Turkey's nowhere to be found in the equation. Like you've got, I think that's Russia. So you got Russia, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Iran. And you don't have today's technology with just lasering somebody out of the sky. I think you have to occupy that country and kick every fucking door down until you find the goat fuckers responsible for that. I don't think there's any other way around it. Otherwise, that guy's still alive, and you have people hating Trump for another reason.
Now, what about India? India's our friends, aren't they?
India doesn't border Afghanistan. Pakistan is like the border. Because you got to remember, India used to be bigger, and then they cordon off a piece where, so India is basically like the Hindus, and Pakistan is the same as India, but it's Muslim. So the Muslim people got their own country. But if you look at, you know, China coming into Afghanistan, you know, and supplying the Afghanis with whatever they need in exchange for precious metals, they can just fucking funnel fighters through Pakistan into India. So that's why that's a big deal. But there's no other way around it. You gotta occupy that country. You gotta find him, and you gotta. But for fuck's sake, man, you don't. Oh, we killed him and we put him off at sea. Like, no, fuck that, dude. You make an example out of him. Just like you remember back in the internet, you can go and you could find Saddam getting hung. You remember that? Did you ever see that video?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you had to look for it, but you could find it. And that way you knew it happened.
You didn't have to look very hard.
Yeah, you didn't have to look very hard, but...
I mean, you could also see Gaddafi getting raped with a, you know...
Oh, you can?
But you know, that's... I mean, they video all that shit and put it out there because they want to make examples of people.
And that's the thing is, like you said earlier, like, you can't go in there fighting a war with one hand tied behind your back, regardless of how much of a superpower you are. Like, the faster you go in there, the speed, the violence, the momentum, whatever. Like, you just need to go in there and fuck shit up till you get shit done and get the fuck out. Leave them, like, yeah, it sucks for the civilians. It really does. It really does. But when you flip it on me and you say, I mean, it makes me think about it. You know, like, well, what would you do if there was a really bad guy and the U.S. said, no, we're not going to turn him over, and that country said, we're going to invade you, and they invaded, you know, parts of the U.S. I think it would be foolish for them to invade parts of the U.S. because there's a lot of people in the U.S. that have guns. So they would constantly be fighting a worse version of guerrilla warfare than the U.S. has ever fought. Because usually when the U.S. has fought guerrilla warfare, it's been with the actual forces, right? It's been with the Viet Cong, or it's been with al-qaeda or the Taliban. It hasn't actually been with the populace. But I don't know how I feel about that. Like, that's an interesting perspective. I'd have to think on that. I don't know as a citizen. Like, I think if this guy, because what the Taliban ran the country, right? Like, the Taliban ran it, and there's like a subset which was Al Qaeda, and we told the Taliban we want this guy, and they're like, no. And so we went in there. But so if our federal government, if there was a bad guy involved with the federal government and they said turn him over so we can kill him, and our federal government said no, I think I have a bigger qualm with the federal government than I do that other country. Firstly, I'm like, yeah, give him that motherfucker. He's a piece of shit. He doesn't need to be living amongst us. I don't know, dude. It's an interesting perspective. I didn't think about it. Thank you for making my brain cells exercise today. I don't know, dude. I don't know. What do you do? What do you do?
Not occupy a country for 20 fucking years, especially since you got them after 10.
And you pull out, right?
So even if we did it the way you said, and once we got him we pulled out, that was 10 fucking years ago.
I agree.
We should have been out of there.
I agree.
And the Taliban would have swept in and done the same shit.
Do you think they would have launched? Like, here's the thing: is you found the guy and you killed him. If we had made an example, or if we had not made an example, I guess we can entertain both trains of thought. Are they coming back? Are they bombing some more towers? What are they doing?
They'd probably be pretty pissed still. I mean, they may try to come back over, and we just airstrike the strongholds. By then, we've got the technology. We were drone striking by then.
Mm-hmm.
We got stealth bombers.
Yeah.
So, go in and bomb those, surgical precision strikes. We've got satellites, So, okay, watch where, these guys are moving around, and then hit them. But again, it comes down to this was profitable.
Mm-hmm.
The opium trade surged after the Taliban lost control. And come on, man. You know that was used to fund some, black ops and shit like that as well. We're not innocent.
No, we're not. No, we're not. What if the reason that the opium shit went up was because we got rid of the Taliban, therefore the Taliban isn't in control, and now all the poppy farmers are free to do with their poppy as they see? Like, instead of paying a tariff to the Taliban, and the the Taliban just being in complete control of the poppy fields, what if now, it's just like, oh, I can grow as much poppy as I want, and the sky's the limit? Capitalism. There's no authoritarian state, and us on the ground, we weren't allowed to do anything with the poppy. We weren't allowed. It was their crop. We're just there occupying the land. We, as soldiers, as foot soldiers, as Marines, we're not allowed to do shit. We weren't burning it down. We weren't. So the Taliban's no longer in control, and each farmer that has a poppy field is now selling drugs to other countries or what have you. You know what I mean? And like, there's now more incentive to grow more poppy and to work harder. I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know, but I do know that as far as the soldiers were concerned, like the U.S. military wasn't involved in the drug trade. Like, you could argue CIA or whatever, you know, but I think once you like, you know, it's kind of like when you take a dictator out of control, because like I said, Afghanistan's not known for oil, but you had Saddam, and you had oil in Iraq, and you got rid of him, and now there's more oil, and it's because there's not a dictator in control of it. And I don't know, I really don't. It's an interesting thing to think about. Somebody did profit off of this, though. Sure as hell wasn't me.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess the next question is, what's going to happen? You think they're going to make a play? They're going to 25th Amendment this guy? I don't think they'll impeach him. I don't think they'll impeach Joe Biden over his ineptitude.
I don't think there's anything impeachable yet. Just, I hope they don't 20. Everybody's saying, oh yeah, 25th, whatever, dude. Do you want fucking Kamala Harris in charge?
You say that, but
I want Biden to live at least 3.5 more years.
But I think the same people controlling Joe Biden would be controlling Kamala Harris, right?
No.
No? You think they have different handlers, I suppose?
Yeah.
I read an article while I was on the shitter, something I normally don't do. Normally I'm just memeing, but I read an article with the British Parliament shitting all over Biden. People out of the House of Commons and the House of Lords all just shitting on Biden. Didn't see one good thing about that. I thought one of them was pretty funny because somebody, actually, like, I have to go dig up the quote, but they basically said, like, oh, I thought, like, we had gotten rid of Trump. They didn't say that, but the previous, the predecessor, and everything was going to be back to normal, and now this sense of, what do you say, America's back, or something like that, not what he expected. And it's like, well, it's what I expected. I expected to go back to war. And sadly, that's the main reason I am hanging up my hat. I got 40 more years of good life ahead of me. I don't need to go hang out in the desert for some fucking imbecile. I really don't. So, yeah.
So yeah, you've been active wartime the whole time. Joining in during wartime and retiring during the same fucking war.
Well, I guess technically, since we pulled out, we're not at war.
Close enough, dude.
I feel you. I know what you're saying. Yeah. And if it means anything to those, like, I highly doubt it does, but because they just vote blue no matter who. But okay, we talked about the billions of dollars in weapons and equipment, and we talked about the 15,000 Americans. Seeing these girls, like 15, 16, girls that had never experienced life under the Taliban, seeing them video footage of them up against the fence begging and pleading for us not to leave because they know what's coming when we leave. That was pretty fucking heartbreaking. Knowing that people that helped us, we turned our back on them, just like you said earlier, they're going to get killed, tortured, raped.
But they already were killing them.
Like we are a country that cannot keep our promises. And it looks bad. It really does, because I can keep my promises. And I didn't vote for this shit. But they don't know that.
But you participated in it by paying your taxes, by buying into the system and voting.
Well, even still,
tax money going to that.
Even still, you pay taxes. And even still, you didn't vote. And you didn't vote for that. Whether you voted, I mean, unless you voted for Joe Biden, you did not vote for what happened. But nobody in Afghanistan cares. You're an American, and therefore you're culpable. You know what I mean?
Honestly, if we left Israel, I mean, there are allies, so we're going to keep giving them money and guns and weapons, let them whatever. But Israel can take care of themselves. They're a nuclear state. They could fuck it. If Iran starts getting jumpy, Israel does not fuck around, because they are small. Mm-hmm. And they know that they need to take care of shit. Mm-hmm. If we said, okay, Israel, you're on your own, they could handle themselves. But our tax money is supplying them. Why should we be doing that? Why should we do that for any country?
I agree. I think if we're giving a country something, we need to get something in return. Like, I understand the whole diplomacy, like maybe we want democratic governments around the world. We want people that are like-minded and stuff, but I mean, we
Central
do have
banks, you mean?
Sure, but we do have allies like Saudi Arabia, and they're ran by a king, and the majority of their population is Muslim, and that works out. We made deals. We have deals with them, but I wanted to say this, but sidebar, there was somebody who was just arguing about how awesome the European welfare state is. And it's like, you do realize, like, part of that is the fact that you guys just get taxed through your nose. I was like, and the other part of that is because we spend so much on our defense that you guys don't have to. Like, just imagine if we pulled all of our forces out, we made everybody pay their fair share, and we didn't supplant their military with our technology or our presence. And imagine if you had to spend on your defense comparable to your population what we do on ours, how great your welfare system would be. So you got all these European countries, Germany, France, just all of them. But yeah. So yeah, just keep the. I'm not going to tell you to pray for anybody. I'm just saying keep those Americans in your thoughts. Hope for the best. Is as much as I hate this president right now, I don't want him to die. I don't want him to. Like I'm not going to wish him death. That's not what I do. But I still want the country to win. I want us to succeed. We're going through a rough patch right now with the economy, with energy, with politics, and now with foreign policy. what's been going on, but this just kind of blew up now. But keep those Americans in your thoughts and prayers, and more importantly, as Darian said, we need to kind of somehow exist in like a sphere of influence kind of thing, yeah. Like, okay,
Take care of our own first.
take care of our own first, yeah.
Stop taxing us for fucking stupid wars. Stop taxing us at all.
Yeah. But yeah. Um I had a guy lined out this week and he canceled. It's a good thing he canceled because this happened. Hopefully the guy's name is Ash. Hopefully Ash can come on. He came on my gaming stream and I told him to jump in Discord because he wanted to talk politics. But he had some interesting things to say. He's from California. I don't know where. But we were talking about things like taxes. Like I know I get him on here and you'll definitely get some brain cells exercised over that one. So hopefully he can come on. He had dinner plans, but that was fine. We had a really good topic to talk about. So hopefully he joins us next week. Was there anything you wanted to talk about, sir?
Nope, that's our time.
That is our time. Well, final word said. Send it.
Oh, we should have never been to fucking Afghanistan, and if we even use Jake's stomp the ground and stay there until we get them, we should have been out 10 years ago. There's no way to pull out that wasn't going to end this way. It doesn't matter who fucking did it. It would have ended this way. And if Trump had done it, you know, if Trump had won this last election, he'd actually fulfilled his promises and withdrew us. You'd have the media screaming about this too. But you know what? Oddly enough, the media is screaming about it right now.
Oddly enough.
So, but yeah, it's we shouldn't have been there. There's but because we were, there's no, I don't fault Biden for this, because it would have happened with any president, no matter who was in charge. It would have ended up like this, and it would have gone down like this. And it sucks for the people who got used to it or grew up in the coalition controlled Afghani government, but we can't stay there and hold their hands forever. We should have never been there in the first place, and if we were, we should have been out 10 years ago, yada yada. So I don't fault Biden for this. That's the thing. It would have happened the same fucking way with Trump. They might have done a little bit more. A little more could have been done with the logistics of it, I think, but we still would have had the Taliban surging back up and taking over control again.
I think a majority of people would agree, but I think the deal is, I think it's the logistics. It's the fact that we left all those civilians over there, all those Americans over there. Like,
all
they
the
were
weapons and stuff. Why don't, when you guys abandon a base, do you just leave all your guns? Why don't you fucking thermite that shit?
Again, I'm trying to be as humanitarian as possible. The people are more important than the equipment. The funny thing about a majority of that equipment is it requires a high level of maintenance. And if you think that those guys, to be honest, weapons without maintenance, nods without maintenance, especially birds without maintenance, those birds without maintenance.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a Apache helicopter,
mm-hmm.
and you say, hey, Iran, we got this Apache helicopter. How much is it worth to you? And Iran takes it and takes it apart and starts making them or whatever. Hey, Russia, here's a Cobra.
But we did that. We left a whole bunch of aircraft with Iran. And the deal was, like, when we were with Iran, we had a fallout when one of their mullahs or whatever, the people, get elected. So when we kind of just pulled out of Iran completely, like, they had all, like, these F-14s. They had the technology. Yeah, they could take them apart and try to reverse it. But, like, F-14s were great planes, but they required an extreme amount of maintenance. So within 2 years, they were just, like, as time goes on, you have to take them
How
apart
long
and
ago was
maintenance them.
that?
That was back in the 80s, bro. Back in the 80s and 90s.
So,
So what I'm saying is,
so
same thing with these
Iran's
birds,
technology has come a lot further.
but everybody's has.
Russia's yeah, everybody's has, except pretty much Afghanistan at this point, because
Mm-hmm.
they've been bombed into the Stone Age repeatedly by Russia, by us. But now their new government has these things that they can turn in this technology. Fucking China. There you go.
That's the thing there, China.
So Taliban talked with China. Hey, look at this. We got these Apaches. We got Cobras. We got this, that, and the other. How much they worth to you?
No, I agree, but, like, I'm trying to look at it as I'm more worried about the civilians there. I understand the
And
import.
I understand that. There's 15,000 Americans there that should have never been there, but are there. And, even if they said, hey, we're leaving tomorrow, come on, whatever. That's not something you can't control other people necessarily. What you can control is what shit you leave behind. And so even if they're abandoning the base, take all the extra explosives, stack it all up, and blow the whole fucking thing to hell.
I agree completely. Like, but that's what I'm saying is I think everybody is more appalled that there was no plan. There was no plan to get anything out of there. What do you want to talk about? Billions of dollars worth of equipment, demolishing it, or do you want to talk about moving 15,000 civilians out of the? There was just no fucking plan. This guy doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a plan for anything. He doesn't. He just does something and hopes it works out. It should have been evident when he closed the Keystone Pipeline. It is just like, oh, this is what he's gonna do. He's just gonna do something and hope it works out for better. He's just gonna sign bills and print trillions of dollars, and we're gonna call this inflation transitory. Like, that's the guy. The fucking puppet masters aren't even fucking like Trump. Trump played 4D chess. I don't care who you are. The dude played 4D chess. He did. But this is just that Trump would have had to pull out, and he would have had to deal with the fallout. Nobody's arguing that the Taliban wouldn't have taken the country over. That would have happened if Obama did it. It would have happened if Trump did it. It would have happened if Bush did it. It would have happened whoever did it. It's just that this dude pulled out and he didn't have a plan. And Trump had a committee put together to figure out the best way to get everything out of there, including people. And Biden shut down that committee and pulled all the soldiers out. Left everybody else on the ground and all the equipment there. Like, that's where the problem is. It's not that the Taliban took over. It's that we left people and technology there. And China's going to move in. That's the problem. But you're absolutely right, dude. Should have left 10 years ago. But it is what it is.
Kamala Harris was the one. She was bragging that she was advising Biden to pull out. So let's hope the left boot puts up a semi-palatable candidate in 2024.
Ron DeSantis, 2024. Yeah. It's better than your governor. It's better than my governor. Dude's based as fuck. I'd vote for him. But yeah, well, can we get a taxation is theft? Because I feel like taxation is theft, sir.
Taxation is absolutely theft. And not only is that, it's theft to fund the murder of civilians and drone strikes of weddings and so on and so forth. Don't forget that. Don't forget what that tax money, the tax money stolen from you, is used for. And that's where we're at.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and leave a like, a dislike, comment, subscribe, share the video. Any engagement is welcome. Next week we should have our guest on. Interesting fellow. I don't know how well spoken he is, but he was typing vigorously in my stream chat, so hopefully he brings a lot of good stuff to the table. Keep Darian in your thoughts as he progresses through his tedious process of physical therapy and drugs, pharmaceuticals, or whatever. Getting right so we can get him back on the camera. And keep me in your thoughts as I do a bunch of home remodeling to try to get my house sold. Have to replace all this carpet too. I got an estimate, dude. It was about $2,000 to do all the carpeting in the house. So I got a guy coming in this week to do a bunch of contracting work. That's going to be about $1,400, and then you got this house and this carpet. That's going to be another $2,000. So once again, I put in all the effort, all the risk. I should get all the rewards. Taxation is theft. But yeah, with that being said, we're signing out. I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
This is Jake Drake Show. We'll see you next week.